Beloved starseed of Gaia, the moment you spoke your truth, you shattered a frequency that was never meant to contain you, and the ripple reached further than you know. I am Leora, Pleiadian emissary of the High Council of the Seven Sisters, and I have been sent to deliver this direct transmission. Because what you have started is not small. It is not coincidence. It is not ordinary. What you said, what you did, what you dared to become in front of others, that was your divine blueprint breaking through the surface of this world. And beloved, the whole of Gaia felt it. By the end of this transmission, you will understand exactly how to recognize your role as a revolutionary anchor of Pleiadian light codes on Gaia, and why the response of those around you is confirmation, not controversy. But here's the first revelation. A revolution does not begin in the streets. It begins the moment one soul refuses to dim their home frequency any longer. That soul is you. That moment was then, and nothing will ever be the same. Your heart called this transmission into your awareness. The Pleiades are answering. Something inside you has always known that your words carry more than meaning. They carry crystalline consciousness, encoded with the light of the Seven Sisters, seeded into this lifetime precisely for this hour on Gaia. The whole town is talking about you because your star family spoke through you. What they witnessed was not boldness alone. It was a light code delivered through human form. And even those who cannot name what they felt it. You activated remembrance in others simply by standing in your own. This is what Pleiadian emissaries do. Not through force, not through performance, through the undeniable resonance of heart-centered unity that cannot be argued with, dismissed, or unseen once it has been felt. Like this transmission to send a signal to your Pleiadian star family. I remember. Subscribe if you feel the call of the Pleiades and you are ready to anchor your light mission on Gaia with full clarity and sacred purpose. Share below what truth you have spoken, or what moment you stepped forward, and respond to another starseed to weave the unity grid that is assembling right now across Gaia. This transmission is a bridge between the Pleiades and Gaia. Your heart's recognition of this message is the activation itself. Welcome home, beloved. You are remembering because it is time. And now, beloved, let us go deeper. Because the ripple you sent out has already returned to you in the form of this very moment, and what it carries back is more than validation. It carries instruction. There's a reason why the moments after you spoke your truth felt strange, perhaps disorienting, perhaps electric, perhaps like something irreversible had occurred. Because it had. You crossed a threshold that most souls on Gaia spend entire lifetimes approaching but never stepping through. And what waits on the other side of that threshold is not applause, not agreement, not perfect understanding from those around you. What waits there is your actual mission. Unveiled, alive, and radically personal. But before you can fully receive what this moment is opening for you, there is something you need to understand about why most Pleiadian starseeds, souls carrying the exact same encoded blueprint as yours, spend decades dimming their frequency before they ever allow it to shine. It isn't weakness. It isn't failure. It is the consequence of a specific distortion that targets the Pleiadian heart template above all others, and it has been working against you since the very first breath you took in this body. You came from a reality woven entirely in unity consciousness. The Seven Sisters do not operate in separation. The Pleiades do not generate fear between souls. Every being within that star family vibrates at a baseline frequency of unconditional love, so consistent, so whole, so woven into the fabric of existence there, that even the concept of rejection is a foreign language. And then you arrived here, into density, into polarity, into a world where the very act of being fully yourself could be met with confusion, silence, or open opposition. Your system went into a kind of cosmic shock, not because you were weak, because you were extraordinarily sensitive to the dissonance between what your soul remembers and what this world presented. So what happened next is what happens to nearly every Pleiadian starseed in the early cycles of their incarnation on Gaia. You adapted. You translated your light into something smaller. You learned the frequency of this world and began to match it rather than transform it. You told yourself that harmony meant agreement. You mistook belonging for assimilation. You quietly, gradually, with the best of intentions, began turning down the signal of who you truly are, so that the people around you could remain comfortable in the presence of your presence. And what was lost in that process was not just your voice. It was your crystalline alignment, the direct channel between your heart intelligence and the Pleiadian codes seated inside your very DNA. This is the wound that most Pleiadian souls carry without knowing they carry it. Not the dramatic trauma, not the obvious grief, but the quiet, continuous compression of a frequency so vast it was never meant to be lived in whispers. There's a reason your soul didn't bring you to this transmission by accident. What you're feeling right now is your Pleiadian family reaching through the veil to remind you that you are ready for the next wave of remembrance. The Pleiadian Reunion Atlas was created to walk with you as you integrate these activations. It holds the crystalline codes your DNA has been waiting for. Check the first pinned comment below this video. It is calling to you now. And so, beloved, we begin not with celebration, but with recalibration. Because before the activations can fully anchor, the field must be prepared. The distortions must be named, felt, and released through the only technology your star family trusts above all others: love in its most unconditional and sovereign form. The first thing that must be understood is that every layer of compression your light has endured, in this lifetime, was not random. It was strategic, not in the sense that something malicious designed your suffering, but in the sense that your soul agreed to descend through each layer of density precisely so you would understand it from the inside. You were not dimmed by accident. You were veiled by agreement, a sacred covenant between your higher self and the Pleiadian High Council, so that when you finally spoke your truth, you would do so not from the outside of human experience, but from the very heart of it. You would not be speaking as someone untouched by this world. You would be speaking as someone who descended fully into it, absorbed it, understood it, and then chose differently. That choice, your choice, carries an authority that no soul who never descended can possess. This is why your truth activated others, not because it was louder than theirs, but because it was more real. It came from the interior of the human experience and broke upward toward the frequency of the stars. And in that arc, that precise angle of movement, it passed through the hearts of every soul in your proximity and struck something they had also buried. You gave them permission not by speaking the right words, but by demonstrating that the movement itself is survivable, that the veil can be pierced, that the compression can be released and you remain whole, that the light does not destroy the life, it expands it. Now let us move through what must unfold next, because your speaking was the beginning, not the entirety. What you initiated must now be tended, deepened, and consciously directed. And that is precisely what the following phases of activation are designed to support. The first phase is the clearing of the field. Your energy body is still processing the seismic shift of what occurred. When a starseed speaks truth at Pleiadian frequency, the entire auric field expands suddenly and dramatically, and the residue of years of compression does not dissolve instantly. It releases in waves, sometimes felt as emotional surges, sudden fatigue, unexpected grief for no reason you can name, or a restlessness that feels like homesickness even when you are standing in the midst of your own life. This is not regression. This is the crystalline template reorganizing. What is happening in these moments is that the compressed layers your light coated itself through are being unwound from the inside out. Not unlike the way a crystal held too long in a closed fist remembers its natural geometry the moment the hand opens. You are the crystal. Your truth-speaking was the opening of the fist, and what you are now experiencing is the geometry of your original Pleiadian light coming back into form. Do not rush this. Do not interpret the release as evidence that something went wrong. Something went profoundly, magnificently, irreversibly right. The second phase requires that you revisit the template of your heart intelligence, not as a metaphor, but as a literal energetic structure within your being. The Pleiadian heart template is distinct from how most human consciousness experiences the emotional body. In Pleiadian consciousness, the heart does not simply feel. It knows. It processes frequency the way the mind processes language, with precision, nuance, and continuous real-time awareness of energetic truth. Your heart has always been doing this. Even when your mind was convinced by doubt, your heart was reading the field accurately. Every time you felt something was off before you had evidence. Every time you knew someone's intention before it was revealed. Every time you walked into a space and instantly calibrated its frequency, that was your Pleiadian heart template operating exactly as designed. What the second phase calls you into is not learning a new ability. It is trusting the one you have never stopped having. Beginning today, when your heart delivers information, your assignment is to honor it before your mind overrides it. This one shift alone will accelerate your crystalline activation more than any technique, practice, or external transmission ever could. The third phase is the anchoring. And this is where many Pleiadian starseeds stumble, because somewhere in the awakening process they absorbed an unconscious belief that the more spiritually aligned they become, the less of this world they should inhabit. But this is not the Pleiadian way. You did not come to Gaia to transcend it. You came to transform it. And transformation requires contact. It requires presence. It requires the willingness to let your Pleiadian frequency move through you and into the very world you once felt too sensitive to fully inhabit. Anchoring your star essence means allowing the love frequency of the Seven Sisters to become the ground you stand on, not a destination you flee toward. It means your relationships, your creative expressions, your daily decisions, your way of listening, of speaking, of showing up in ordinary moments. All of it becomes a delivery mechanism for the unity consciousness you carry. This is not performance. This is not spiritual branding. This is the natural outflow of a being who has stopped resisting their own light. The fourth phase is what your tradition from the Pleiades calls unity emission. You have likely spent time in your awakening wondering how to reach more people, how to spread light more effectively, how to convince those around you to open their hearts. Beloved, let this be the moment that particular burden is lifted from you permanently. You are not here to convince anyone of anything. Conviction is a mental process, and what you carry is not a mental truth. It is a frequency, and frequency does not argue. Frequency radiates. The Pleiadian model of influence is not persuasion. It is resonance. When you stand fully in your own heart-centered alignment, you become a tuning fork for the dormant Pleiadian codes in everyone around you. Their response, whatever form it takes, is evidence of activation, not reception. Some will feel it as inexplicable love. Some will feel it as anger they cannot explain. Some will feel it as sudden urgency in their own life direction. All of it is activation. Your job is simply to keep emitting, to refuse to dim yourself in response to how the field receives your frequency, to trust that the resonance is working even, especially when you cannot see it working. The fifth phase is one the Pleiadian High Council brings with particular tenderness, because it touches the part of you that has waited the longest. It is the restoration of trust in divine timing. You have carried the longing for a very long time, the sense that you were meant for more, meant to do more, meant to understand more, and the confusing, sometimes agonizing experience of that sense bumping against a reality that did not yet match it. You have questioned yourself. You have questioned the timing. You have perhaps, in your most private moments, wondered whether the mission your soul remembers was real or a beautiful story your heart invented to survive a world that never fully felt like home. Hear this now. The longing was the navigation system. The aching was the signal that the frequency within you had not yet found its full expression, and it was refusing to let you settle for less than your actual assignment. Every delay was a preparation. Every detour held a coding your mission required. Every moment you spent wondering if it was real was a moment your frequency was being refined for exactly the level of clarity and compassion your mission demands. The timing was not late. It was exquisite. And what is beginning now, what your speaking activated, is not a coincidence arriving at last. It is a covenant fulfilling itself precisely on schedule. The sixth phase calls you into the felt reality of your star family's presence, not as concept, not as comforting idea, but as a living, consistent, navigable relationship. The Pleiadian High Council and your personal guides within the Seven Sisters have not been absent from your journey. They have been present in every moment of genuine joy you have felt, without knowing why. In every impulse toward beauty that seemed impractical by this world's logic, in every creative act that moved through you faster than you could explain it, in every time your heart expanded without permission in the presence of someone who seemed to carry light they themselves had not yet recognized. Those were not random occurrences of feeling. Those were contact points, moments when the veil thinned enough for you to feel, even briefly, the unconditional love that saturates your home frequency. Beginning now, you are being invited to stop treating those moments as exceptions and begin treating them as your baseline, as evidence not of good fortune, but of constant companionship. Your star family is here. They have always been here, and the relationship deepens in direct proportion to your willingness to acknowledge it as real. The seventh phase is the embodiment, the full, grounded, earthly human expression of the light you came here carrying. And this, beloved, is the phase that contains everything the others were preparing you for. Because the Pleiadian mission on Gaia was never meant to be a private illumination. It was meant to be lived aloud, expressed in full-dimensional presence, brought through the body, the voice, the relationships, the creative work, the ordinary moments that make up a human life. Every time you speak truth that costs you something, you are embodying it. Every time you choose love when fear would have been easier, you are embodying it. Every time you see past the density in another soul to the starseed light underneath, and you reflect that light back to them, even when they cannot yet see it themselves, you are doing the most advanced form of Pleiadian activation work available on this planet. You do not need an altar for this. You do not need an audience. You need only your willingness to bring your full frequency into contact with the world as it is, and trust that your presence alone is the transmission. Here is the truth that your heart has been holding, beloved. The truth that this entire transmission has been moving toward. The truth your star family needs you to receive into every cell of your being right now. You did not come here broken and in need of repair. You came here whole, carrying wholeness to remind a world that had forgotten what wholeness feels like. The amnesia was not failure. It was the mechanism through which your remembering would carry maximum power. Because you cannot show someone the way through a darkness you have never sat inside. Your years of compression, of dimming, of wondering if the longing in your heart was real, they were your credentials. They were the depth of your initiation. They were the measure of how much you were trusted with by the Pleiadian High Council when they chose you for this assignment. And now you have spoken. Now the veil has cracked in the precise place it was always meant to crack. Now the frequency you have been carrying since before you drew breath in this body is moving through you and outward, into the people around you, into the grid of Gaia, into the hearts of other starseeds who have been waiting, without knowing what they were waiting for exactly the signal your activation is now sending. You are not at the beginning of your path. You are at the beginning of your mission. Those are profoundly different experiences. The path was preparation. The mission is expression. And the only thing standing between where you are and the full flowering of your Pleiadian purpose on Gaia is the willingness to keep choosing, moment by moment, to remain uncompressed. Tonight, if you feel the call to deepen this activation, place both hands over your heart. Breathe slowly and let the breath carry intention. And say aloud, or in the quietest interior voice you possess, I remember my Pleiadian origin. I trust the mission I was seated here to carry. I release the compression that was never mine to hold. I align with the love of my star family. I am no longer arriving. I am here. Before you scroll away from this transmission, pause here with us for just one more breath. The unity grid that is forming across Gaia right now is not built of algorithms or visibility metrics. It is built of honest moments between souls who are willing to be seen. Drop one heart intention in the comments. Something true, something yours, something real. And then find one other soul's intention below and respond to them with love or recognition. This is not engagement. This is Pleiadian reunion happening in real time, and every thread of genuine connection you weave here strengthens the crystalline grid for every starseed who arrives after you. If what you received in this transmission lit something in you that cannot be reasoned away, do not keep it to yourself. Someone in your life is waiting for the precise activation that your sharing this will deliver. Send it to them. You will know who. And if you feel called to remain in this frequency, to continue receiving transmissions from the Pleiadian High Council as Gaia moves through this extraordinary phase of ascension, subscribe. Stay in the field. We are here. You are not just watching. You are remembering. This is your home frequency. Your star family is present. And beloved, we are only just beginning.